Let's start with a look at these funny clips. Oh my goodness, wow.
Can you imagine working like that in Shell, hey?
Yeah, it's a shortcut, you see, but it's fast. I want to show you them for a reason. It's easy to laugh and take safety lightly because accidents always happen to someone else, right?
Yeah.
We always think we will get away with it. Buster Keaton used to do all his stunts for real.
Well, he's been very, very lucky to get away with it all then.
Human nature means that we always underestimate risk. And that's why it's important that we have safety protocols and rules in place. So welcome everyone to the first ever Safety Day podcast for Shell. I am Majid Samara. I started in Shell in 2010 in the Jordanian deserts. And now I look after the supply chain HSE scopes for Qatar.
Oh, nice to meet you, Majid. So,
yeah.
I'm Bryony Strange. I started my career up in Aberdeen, also a Wales background as a completions and interventions engineer. But now I work here in London in the new business development team.
And that takes us to why we're here, to discuss and explore actually the 5 human performance principles that will bring us as Shell into alignment with the rest of the industry. The principles are error is normal, blame fixes nothing, context drives behavior, learning is vital, and that takes us to the theme of this year's Safety Day. How I respond matters. And we're going to reach out to our colleagues across Shell to get their thoughts on these performance principles. And of course, on the theme of this year, but let's start with the first one. Error is normal. Mm-hmm. What's your take on this?
My gut reaction is we're all human. Mistakes happen, then it really kind of opens a much better space for us to kind of move forward and learn in.
Indeed. The acceptance helps us a lot to examine the mistake. Why did it happen? How can we prevent it? And if it happens again, then no one is injured. And that moves us from the space of feeling lucky to feel safe.
Error is normal. So when something goes wrong, I'm going to take a moment to think before I react.
I'm going to be a little bit more humble and accept that I make mistakes too.
And that leads us to the next important principle, actually, which is blame fixes nothing. But does it fix anything?
It doesn't fix anything, but I would probably start by saying that, it's kind of it's a natural response, shutting down the conversation and kind of shying away from a mistake, that kind of hands up wasn't me or fire him. The
quick fixes that we look at someone to throw the blame at.
My partner would laugh. One of my traits is I hate to lose things in the house, but if I lose anything, immediately it's his fault. You must have moved it. Where have you put it? Where's my car keys or whatever?
Blame actually targets individuals, and we should not be targeting people. And we forget that we've made the systems. So if we don't fix the systems, then we didn't do anything. And this might happen again and again and again.
Blaming. It's only a quick fix. So I'll make sure I take responsibility for my action.
It doesn't allow us to get to the root of the problem.
That takes us nicely to the next principle, which is context drives behavior. We will go to ask our colleagues around the Shell world, what does that mean to them? So let's watch this together.
I think context drives behavior is about how people are feeling in the moment.
It's about the example we set to others.
It's about being given the time to effectively have our steps of conversation before we start work. Everyone happy?
Yep. Context is the culture of a team or the culture in the workplace.
To me, context-driven behavior means knowing the activity that you're doing.
It could be about experience too, the training and knowledge someone has.
Be the culture you want to see,
so others can model that behavior.
If leaders set clear expectations, act clearly with the ownership of it, that they feel it, that feeling gets through to the front lines.
And I think you feel that. We like to reflect the behaviours that we see, and that role is fundamental. What about some of the dilemmas that we have around, performance or cost cutting versus safety? We see them kind of almost in opposition, perhaps. Safety versus cost. Safety versus performance.
I'm told performance and cost are the most important by one person, and safety is the most important by someone else. My dilemma is how I respond to these messages.
I know that performance is critical. How can I raise my safety concerns and help us improve?
We understand managing cost is vital. So if we feel that a cost cut might impact safety, how do I most effectively challenge that?
I always ask, how will a change affect controls we rely on for safety?
When thinking about safety and performance, I always ask, how do we achieve both?
We want to have top-notch performance without compromising on our core value when it comes to not hurting people.
Yeah.
We want both. Our next principle is learning is vital. Learning does not necessarily mean the academic way, where someone goes to a university or a classroom.
I think, we learn through normal work, but learning passive is just not enough. It's really surely about how we embed this. How do we move that into the organization?
A learning from routine activities that you do, a learning from previous experience that you had, a learning from recent incident that we had, and that keeps it alive.
Apply what you hear, see, and learn to make your environment safer.
I'm going to share positive learnings and good practice, not just learnings from incidents.
And that leads us to the last principles and the theme of this year's Safety Day. How I respond matters.
It's a really lovely way to kind of bring them all together. I mean, it's the crux of every single thing that we've spoken about here today.
How I respond determines actually whether we will be on this side, where we look at the learning and we embrace a no-blame culture, or we'll be on that side where we are more conservative and there's a blame culture and a quick fix. We fire someone.
It almost opens that door for someone else to respond in the same way, right? When embedding that in every day, embedding that here in the office, embedding that kind of open discussion, like you said, if you can create that psychological safe space, you can show that humility.
And you're empowered to care for people, which is very important for us, and you're empowered to get to the root causes.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you said, that I makes it very personal, and it does, but it's a ripple effect. How we respond to safety, how we create that culture within our teams. I think we all have that responsibility to really reflect on how you respond in these situations and be the positive change.
How I respond helps sets the context for others to follow, and that leads to a much safer work environment.
So, Brian, we came to the end of the 5 human performance principles.
Okay.
Thank you very much, everyone around the world. I truly enjoyed the conversation. I hope that you enjoyed it as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Majed.
Thank you very much.
Let's now talk about how our response matters.
The impact of how we respond has on others.
How to stop and think before we respond.
I want to take part in the Safety Day discussion,
so I can actively learn.
Me too.
I'm going to go and actively participate in our Safety Day discussion.
Now it's up to you to take part in the Safety Day discussion.